Здравствуй, viewers! I hope it's alright that I used the informal there. I think we're close enough by now. Today we're taking a look at a Kickstarter preview. This copy provided to us from Lifestyle Board Games. Red Outpost explores an alternate history where the former USSR secretly sent a colony ship to the stars during the space race of the 1960s, and while the pesky Americans were self-congratulatory about landing on the moon, a communist experiment was taking root on a faraway planet. From each according to their ability to each according to their contribution, this colony aims to be a paragon of Soviet-era ethos. Will it succeed, or will human nature take over? Let's open the box and find out. Past the idyllic cover art box, you'll find the game's short but dense rulebook and a quad-fold board. I want to take a moment to draw your attention to the artwork across the board here, as it evokes the setting very well. This is a colony on a new planet, but if you didn't notice the clunky, huge spaceship in the corner, you'd be forgiven into thinking you're looking at an early 20th century village, a perfect nod to the game's main thrust. Remaining behind the board is this white cardboard channel, doing its best to confine several baggies of tokens, cards, and meeples. There are some decent components in here, like these acrylic red stars, which denote the individual workers' moods, and also this 3D pressed wood rocket ship first player marker. Let's set up for a game, and I'll walk you through how to play. The board starts each game with 3 locations scheduled to be closed at night and 3 other locations scheduled to be closed in the morning. These provide a little restriction on your strategy and are thematically explained as the limitations of a burgeoning colony with limited resources. The recommended first game closings are denoted here on the board, with the spaceship, palace of the Soviets, and the beer house closed during the day, while the farm, pasture, and lake are closed up at night. Every game is going to take place over the course of 2 working days, and you're going to be not only limited by time, but by the efforts of your workers, who will only perform 1 job per game phase and who won't work together with anyone else. Once someone's working the beer house, for example, no one else will join them. There's other work that wants to be done, and no one wants to be called lazy. On your turn, you're going to move a worker to a location in order to, well, do work, I suppose. Right away at the beginning of the game, everyone's available and ready starting in the barracks, but as the game progresses, your options will be limited to those workers who aren't exhausted, i.e. still standing. For example, you place your chosen worker in an available location and then place one of your color influence discs on that worker's portrait. Workers gain favor with you as you fulfill their dreams of contributing honorably to society, and will hold it against you if you make them work jobs they don't like or aren't good at. This is reflected by their mood, and whether the mood of your worker goes up or down is dictated solely by the work you make them do. Once influence and mood are changed, you then gain the benefit of the space you forced your citizen into. Some spaces, like the pasture and the mine, will produce tangible goods, while still others, like the beer house, just improve your mood, and others give you access to these crystals. My first issue with this highly thematic game is these. It's never explained what exactly they are, so maybe they're just highly sought after minerals from this crazy alien planet? In any event, you'll need them to contribute to the endgame scoring goal, constructing the monolithic palace of the Soviets. Sending a worker there with one of your gathered crystals puts it in your color zone. And if you contributed the most at game's end, you'll net yourself 4 victory points. There's an additional usage that changes based on where you work, so if you have some in your possession, you can spend them to increase efficiency or improve your mood at the cost of others. Any leftover crystals not contributed to the monument to Perestroika can be converted to victory points at game's end at a rate of 2 to 1. Once your location benefit is bestowed, the next player takes their turn. This rondo-like apparatus in the corner of a board works exactly like a clock, tracking the movement of time throughout your day. The first phase is morning, when the morning close tokens will keep you out of those spaces. However, those tokens won't restrict your working through either of the game's 2 day phases. The midpoint on the clock signifies lunch, when each player gets to choose a single worker to eat, providing a much-needed boost to mood. Finally, you'll work late into the evening when certain spaces are similarly restricted as in the morning. Day 2 is much the same, as you'll spend yet another cycle of the clock trying to push as many crystals as you can into the palace. Does it work? Well, it literally does work, as that's the central tenet of the game. There are certainly some issues with the rulebook and components that I'll get to during the checklist, but let's start with the gameplay. It's certainly fast and ruthless, as you'll be edging out other players for control of workspaces. Also, there are definitely workers that, if available, you'll always want to use. Time is not your friend in this game, and you're going to want to streamline your actions. When you're looking at a game based on communism, we're still pretty far from cooperation. The bulk of your points is going to come from the mood of your workers. At the end of every day, you'll evaluate each worker individually, scoring points based on the mood or losing points based on their mood, if you have the most influence with them. This could potentially be a huge point swing if you can work it such that the proletariat adores you for fulfilling their aspirations and hates your opponents for making them work jobs they hate. The bespoke strategy behind the Iron Curtain here is maneuvering the board state such that your rival at the table has to force a worker into a job they aren't destined for, lowering that mood and raising your opponent's influence with them. It's a super delicate dance, but when it works, it is delicious. There's an additional element of these special cards, giving each player a bonus to a specific action, but I'll be honest, the game's design of randomly giving one of them to each player at the game's beginning feels a little arbitrary and tacked on. Some of them are incredibly specific, like being able to send only the bureaucrat to a space that's closed, while others feel far too good, like the beer house, skipping the mood bonus for a gain of 2 crystals. Drafting these would feel a lot better, as it would allow each player to tailor their strategy voluntarily. Ultimately, while there are certainly issues here, this is a decent enough effort from a first-time designer, and it's definitely a game. There's plenty of fun to be had here, even if it feels a little thick to get through. Red Outpost serves as an example of what high-concept, high-interaction game design looks like. While there are certainly tweaks that can be made to fine-tune the player experience, this is an admirable first effort from a brand new production house. Let's go through our checklist. In the box, rulebook clear and non-gender pronouns. I specifically asked the developer if what I have in the rulebook is production ready, and was assured that it was, so I'm disappointed to relay to you that this rulebook isn't as clear as it could be. The component list talks about the green phase marker and the green mood markers, but the image under those is red, like the actual pieces themselves. Additionally, the setup refers to placing a blocking token on the field, but that location isn't listed among the board's 12 options. We believe it means the farm, but that's just a couple of examples of things that should have been caught much earlier. Also, there are very distinct usages of he to denote the player and workers, even though of the 6 worker characters, 3 are very clearly feminine. Iconography clear. There's a lot of iconography across the board and cards, but once you've played the game a couple times, you'll be able to understand the shorthand well enough. There's a learning curve to it, but not as steep as other Euros I've played. And I'm looking at you, Trajan. A quick note on the workers here as well. While not strictly iconography, there are 6 distinct worker meeples that each correspond to a worker job. Remembering which is easy enough when you can refer to the board and see the filthy overalls and lighted cap of the black meeple with a pickaxe and deduce that he's the miner, but somewhat less easy when looking for the difference between the bureaucrat and the commissar. Oh yes, der Kommissar's in town. Oh. Packaging well done. The box is edged with simple cardboard lining to reduce the amount of space things have to flop around inside, and it comes with enough baggies to keep everything more or less contained. It's certainly not the flashiest insert you'll come across, but it's functional. Perhaps this was designed with the game's theme in mind. On the table. Good representation. As mentioned earlier, there are 6 workers in the game, divided equally between masculine and feminine. It's worth noting that the 2, quote, white-collar workers are feminine. Component quality. Fair. The worker meeples got the most attention in the box by far, though the board art is really quite stunning. Wooden player discs and resource cubes round out the game's components, each feeling decent enough, but lacking an attractive pull. Replay value. Pretty high. Worker placement games tend to sit on the right side of this curve anyway, and Red Outpost goes even further in that direction by taking that mechanic in a more communal direction. Playing with the exact same group every time might feel static if you settle into similar strategies, but the game affords you many options to play with. Playing over the course of only 2 days brings an immediacy to the proceedings and will force you to choose your strategy early and commit to it. Fun to lose. At less than an hour, Red Outpost feels like it hits a sweet spot for game time for this particular set of rules. Losing can feel a little inevitable if your early strategy fails, but there's a tiny bit of room to pivot if you catch it early. Medium marks in this category. Red Outpost has some very cool ideas in the worker placement genre and will certainly gain some deserved attention for trying to shake up that world. What's actually delivered here, though, is a just fine table experience with a neat theme. At the Kickstarter price of $30 with only a $5,000 goal, this seems very likely to fund, and at that dollar amount, it's certainly worth a look. Das Vidanya, friends. I'm Nicholas, reminding you to help protect the game population. Always sleeve your cards. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed that video, please hit that sub button and check out all of our other offerings at goodluckhighfive.com. And please consider becoming a patron of the channel at patreon.com/GLHFmagic and help us keep making reviews, videos, and podcasts for as little as $5 a month. We're also always looking for new games to review, so if you make games or you know a company who does and wants to have their game reviewed on Good Luck High Five, please reach out to us at glhf@goodluckhighfive.com and we'd be happy to take a look. You can follow me, Captain N the Game Master, on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainNGM, and follow the channel at GLHF Magic. Remember, please shop at your local game store whenever possible. Until next time, I'm Nicholas, and good luck, high five.